What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I know I am, and if you are having a fantastic day, I'd appreciate you pressing the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. Your house will get the Rona and be forced to get rid of you. Yeah, that's right. The disease is officially getting to houses now. We're not really sure how it happened considering they're not alive, but don't risk it. Being homeless right now would really suck, so press the like button. Anyways, boys, today I've got a pretty spooky, scary skeleton story for you guys. It's gonna be about the time I stayed in this incredibly creepy motel and got, like, no sleep because I was really afraid that someone was going to creep into the motel room and kidnap me. Overall, about a 0 out of 10 as a concept, but it's probably gonna be a pretty entertaining story. Just a warning, when I get scared, I make fun of stuff, so when I'm getting to the scary parts, I'm probably gonna make it sound really dumb. That's just how we vibin' though, and yeah, without further ado, let's get into me cramping myself in a motel. Let's go. So when I was in like the summer between 7th and 8th grade, my parents really wanted us to, you know, become one with nature and see the country or whatever, so they decided that we were gonna get dragged on this road trip to Yellowstone. And I live in Las Vegas. I've grown up in Las Vegas my entire life, and it's about a 3-day drive. If you do it, like, pretty long drives at a time, but my parents wanted us to have, you know, this couple week long road trip, so they basically decide that we're gonna drive 4 hours a day and then stop and stay in crappy motels and, you know, have ourselves a great time on this family vacation. And obviously, at the time, I was not too hyped on the idea because when they told us this, they also told us that they were going to be taking away our phones for the duration of the trip to force us to bond as a family. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, it's cool to bond with your family and all, but I was a 12-year-old and the only sibling still at home was only 5, so I don't know what type of conversations I'm gonna have with him. Are we gonna, like, greatly dissect why the alphabet is in order for a specific reason? And it's not like I have much in common with my parents, no offense, but they're kind of boomers, so I was not too happy about the prospect of being trapped in the car with a 5-year-old and both of my parents for weeks on end with nothing to distract myself. And it goes about as you expect. Obviously, when you're 12, you're a little bit edgy, and I'm pretty annoyed with my parents by like the end of the first day. And at the end of the first day, we were in the middle of nowhere in rural Nevada. And like in Nevada, okay, we're already not a very big state. We don't have a huge population, but even then, like 90% of the population is in like 3 cities that are all right next to each other. Or, you know, in 2 different areas. There's a bunch of people in the north in Reno, and there's a bunch of people down south in Las Vegas. And there is nothing else in the entire state. I mean, sure, you have like a couple towns with, you know, 3 grocery stores and 1 stoplight, but it's nothing crazy. But we're in the middle of nowhere, Nevada, and my dad, for whatever reason, didn't decide to look ahead and see where hotels were along the way. They just said, we'll wing it and stay wherever, it'll be fun. Which, I mean, is kind of fun, except when you can't find a motel because you're like in the middle of the desert and there's nowhere to go. And as we're driving around, it gets later and later, and at about midnight, we pull up to this motel that just looks like something where 87 people have disappeared before, okay? I genuinely thought it was closed. Half of the motel has like the roof caved in and it's very obvious that nobody's staying in those rooms. The sign has like half of its lettering out. It's looking like somebody with like a weird stutter is trying to say the name because it keeps flashing off and on. You know that Vine where it's like, welcome to Target? It was very similar to that. It's like blinking, but in a very creepy way because it's an old sign, you know, and half the letters are out. And sure enough, my dad's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go speak to the guy. I'll be right back. And so we're chilling in the car, and I'm looking around this empty, like, motel parking lot at 1 in the morning. And 12-year-old me doesn't know a whole lot about the real world yet, but 12-year-old me knew enough to realize that people standing at windows of cars handing packages back and forth at 1 in the morning in a motel parking lot probably aren't up to much good. There were people standing outside their rooms with, like, pit bulls on chain leashes just looking angry. And overall, man, I just got the vibe that, you know, I didn't really belong here. As a kid who grew up in the suburbs, I'm not very well adapted for staying in ghetto motels, all right? So my dad comes back and the first thing he says is that it's, you know, it's quaint is his description of it, which is an adult's way of saying it's not very nice. So we all go in and we open the door to our motel room, which still uses a key, by the way. Like, they ain't even got this card thing yet, which became standard in what, 1992, since before I was born? If something was 7 years old when I was born, then it's old, alright? I'm about to be 21 years old. I should not still be using a key to get into this room. And we open the door, and you know when something just smells old? Like that musty, dusty, mothball-esque smell that just makes you low-key want to throw up a little bit? That's what this room smells like, and it looks straight out of the 60s. The bed looks like it hasn't changed, you know? The TV is like low-key a tube TV from maybe the 80s, maybe. The picture's all dingy and faded. The light when you turn it on is like a half-dead light bulb that's flickering off and on. It legitimately looks like where a Saw victim would wake up in one of those movies. So we're in the room, and at the time when I was 12, before we had gone on this vacation, I already had like a super screwed up sleep schedule. I don't know why. I thought it was really cool to stay up till 3 in the morning, and I've never really fixed it. I've always been staying up really late. And I had to share a bed with my 5-year-old brother, which wasn't too bad, except for the fact that he just like loved to judo kick me in the side every 20 minutes while I was trying to sleep. And it doesn't help that my dad snores like a chainsaw that has been dropped on top of a clown in the circus. He's just really loud at snoring, so I'm getting kicked in the ribs by a 5-year-old every 20 minutes trying to sleep. When I am awake, my dad is snoring like a chainsaw. I'm just not getting sleep. And 12-year-old me also had this idea that I was like already mature and an adult and could handle myself, you know? I think every 12-year-old has this idea that they're low-key a grown-up. And listen, you guys are definitely at the start of becoming your own person, okay? I'm not saying you're not mature. But, you know, you're still 12, and the possibility of being kidnapped is pretty strong. But for whatever reason, I decide that I was annoyed, so I get up, I put my, like, you know, actual clothes on, I change out of my pajamas, because I was 12 and had pajamas, and I decide that I'm gonna go explore the motel. Keep in mind, I told you that it looks like a dilapidated rundown section of like Silent Hill video games, but whatever, I'm just gonna go see what's out there. So I step out and like, you know, the air's pretty warm, it's a summer night in Nevada, so I start like walking into this sketchy motel parking lot, and there really isn't much. Like I said, there's a couple dudes like smoking cigarettes with their pit bull outside their motel room, and I'm like, all right, probably not gonna go over there and bug them. So I just kind of start walking around the back of the motel, and I get around the back and I see like where the dumpsters are for the motel. And for whatever reason, 12-year-old me, you know, is like, oh, well, I guess I'll go see what's up in the dumpsters, you know? So I go over there for whatever reason. I really don't know why. And as I'm like looking in to see if there's anything cool in there, because I don't know, I get this like feeling on the back of my neck that somebody is watching me. Somebody is watching me. So I like walk out of the little room the dumpster's in. I wasn't looking in the dumpster. I just looked in that little room. I don't know why. And I look into the lobby, which you could see from the hotel, and the creepy dude who's in charge of the desk, who's like got this weird balding thing in the glasses they give people in prison, those like clear big ones. And he's just smiling at me, which is not a very nice thing. Don't get me wrong, sure, he could have just been a friendly old man smiling at the kid, looking in his dumpsters at 1 in the morning, but that was not the vibe that I got. And I immediately just get this vibe to like leave. I need to get back to the room. I just have this bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. So I go to walk back to my room, but I have to go like past the lobby. And as I'm going past the lobby, the door opens and creepy dude comes out and he's like, hey. And I'm like, hi, you know, I don't really know what to say. I'm 12. I don't know how to interact with creepy people. Being kidnapped was not on my bucket list. And he looks at me and he gives me this like weird, he checks me out. You know what I mean? Like, you know when somebody looks you up and down and very obviously, you know, is like checking you out in a weird way. He does that and he says, why are you out of your room so late? You know, which is a very weird question to ask a child at 1 in the morning, I guess. Why? You know, it should be like, go back to your room. It's 1 in the morning, but he's like, why are you out so late? Like the way he says it is just weird, you know? So I couldn't sleep, you know, I just was gonna see what's around. He's like, well, it's kind of dangerous in the parking lot at night. You should come in and you can watch TV with me in the office. I have a TV there. And like the way he says it is just weird, dude. And I'm like, you know, I'm good. I'm gonna go back to the room. I'm gonna try to go back to bed. He's like, no, come on, come watch TV. Come on, like I'll put it on Cartoon Network. And I'm like, no, I'm really good. And he says, no, come watch TV. And like the way he says come watch TV is very angry. It doesn't come off like somebody that really just wants to watch TV with you. It sounds like somebody that wants to get to a creepy motel office with a 12-year-old. And I don't really know what to do because I'm 12 and it's uncomfortable. So I'm like, no. And he's like, come on, come watch TV. And I'm like, no. And as I'm, you know, getting nervous because I'm a kid who's not really, not knowing what to do in the situations, okay? Strange men don't come ask me to watch TV with them at 1 in the morning very often and offer cartoons. It's just not something that happens. I swear, like a superhero, dude, those dudes who are smoking cigarettes come around the corner and they like look at the situation, and I think they can see the fear in my eyes, which is pretty obvious. They're like, is this dude bothering you? And I'm like, no. And they're kind of looking at the situation, and the guy who was, you know, in like the office is, oh no, I was just telling him to go back to your room, go back to your room. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to my room. And I like voomph to my room as fast as I can. My little 12-year-old legs are moving like a bullet, just as fast as I could to get out of there, because creepy dude was really creepy. I get back to my room, I like close the door, and I just lay down in bed and I can't sleep. Like, I'm sitting there wide awake, and I'm hearing outside, and like as the dudes go back to, you know, smoke their cigarettes and pet their dog, they're like, man, that was creepy. Like, that dude was whack, because this motel sucked and the windows were about as thin as, I don't know, something thin, SpongeBob's skin or whatever. And yeah, the next morning, my dad obviously is like, hey, Ryan, you don't look like you got much sleep. And I'm like, oh, I didn't, you know, your snoring kept me up. He's like, oh, well, you know, at least you didn't go exploring the motel. It's kind of creepy, haha. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'm glad I didn't do that. That would be a really stupid move, Dad. That would make me a big idiot who had to get saved because I was about to definitely get yeeted on by a creepy dude in the motel office. And when we were leaving, which was pretty early in the morning to like get driving again, the dude was like in his office and stared at me the entire time I was helping my dad load up the car and like get in the car. So definitely a creepy dude. I usually, you know, am pretty chill with most people, but there was just a vibe about this man that threw me off, and no bueno. Anyways, guys, on that note, that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Before I forget, today's notification shout-out goes to someone named Declan. It's their birthday today. Happy birthday, man. And, yeah, turn on notifications, send a screenshot to my Instagram, and I shout somebody out. Meanwhile, follow me on Twitter at Scrubby_69, Instagram at Scrubby. Use code Scrubby at the G Fuel checkout for 10% off. Get the merch, and remember to not get anyone pregnant. But if you really have to get someone pregnant, okay, if it's on your quarantine bucket list, please make sure they're hot. And yeah, on that note, thanks for all the support recently. I'll see you guys next time, and I'm out. Peace.